All right, friends, it's Timon. Again, we're back with another video, and our good friend Jason Blaha has kindly put this video for us to react to. The gym, lifting, recruiting, fitness, gear slave himself, Jason Blaha. So Blaha says, as training frequencies increase, exercise, so must variation. Okay.
Higher frequency training requires you to rotate movements more. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today.
I guess it takes 12,000 videos to explain how a muscle is built. Okay.
You know, so this is where these topics get a little nuanced, and this is stuff I've learned, you know, after decades in the game as an older lifter who still has very low injuries still.
This is what he's learned decades being in the game. He's been in it decades? Oh, okay. And he still hasn't learned anything. Okay.
Has put up some good numbers. Like, I'm 48. You guys are still seeing me do rep work with 315 on the bench, squat 500, you know, without sleeves or wraps, stuff like that. And he's coached some really strong lifters. Some of the stuff I've noticed, and I have to say, is that, you know, this whole topic of rotating exercises and frequency, you know, I've told a lot of people, for most of you out there, a lot of you guys, I can literally put guys on body part splits where we train a muscle once a week. They'll do amazingly well. I have guys who do 6 to 10 sets a week. They get phenomenal results. And I mean, where people are like actually impressed, like, wow, this guy's really...
6 to 10 weeks, they get phenomenal results. I don't know anybody that so-called Blaha said that he's training that got any results. The last women that he had, I can't remember even their name anymore or whatever. They're all gone. I did videos on them. They're all gone, man. They were getting 0 results. They stayed exactly the same. They got a 0. They most likely saw my videos and they were like, okay, yeah, you're right. This guy's right. If that was true that Blaha was training them, I don't know. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. Who the hell knows? But whatever. Especially Michelle. Michelle, she's out because she's not interested in Blaha. And plus, I think Blaha went there to try to get with her or something. Who knows? And she just got grotesque. She became horrified when he came over to, I think it was Chicago or something, flew over to be with her or hang out with her or something. Who knows, man, or hook up.
Drug free, you know, this guy's strong, they're big.
This spring at Dave & Buster's.
Actually impressed, like, wow, this guy's really drug free, you know, this guy's strong, they're big, you know, and...
Oh, I'm so impressed. This guy's drug free, he's strong, and he's big, and yeah. Man, all of these people, they're adapted to their exercises. They can't figure out why. They don't understand the concept of bodybuilding. They don't know what bodybuilding is about. To them, bodybuilding is some guy injecting drugs and going up on a stage and getting pumped up. We have to go and we have to lift and we have to get pumps. Well, I'm not denying if you lift weights, you'll get pumped. You definitely will get a pump if you eat carbohydrates, which is, you could say, artificial. But if you eat a lot of carbs, you will get pumped for sure. See what I mean? But is that really what you're looking for in bodybuilding? No, you're not. Because bodybuilding is not a sport. Get it? It is a carryover to every sport, but it itself is not a sport, nor is it a beauty pageant. Look, real bodybuilding is not based on beauty or beauty pageant. It's not based on any of those things. Now, when people start dropping body fats to astronomically low levels, it's because they call that aesthetic. So listen to the word bodybuilding, aesthetic. That's not the same. That's not the same, bro. It's like saying powerlifting and bodybuilding. You can't compare the two. Apples and oranges. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, man.
They're not committing their whole life to training. You know, these are people who are in the gym 3 or 4 hours a week. You know,
see, this is what Blaha's doing. He's trying to lower his body fat. He says he's moving for aesthetics. So he's not really bodybuilding. So when he keeps mumbling in his videos, you're going to build muscle if you do this and you do that. But he doesn't show any muscle. He doesn't have any muscle on his body. And he doesn't really show how he builds any muscle. He talks about it in his video. See what I mean? He talks about it. Now, if he showed his body at least if he showed himself, even if he talked about it, he didn't show it. If he showed the gains in his body, then you would know that those things would work. But whatever he says, he can't prove that it works because I just don't see it on him. And I understand he's getting older like everybody. People get older, right? Whatever, They eat the slave food diet and it fucking destroys you, okay, over time. You're deteriorating faster than you're aging. It's kind of obvious. So I'm not knocking. I know Blaha's whatever in his late 40s now, whatever. I can understand, you're deteriorating. And he is definitely deteriorating faster than he's aging because his exercises are not regenerative. Bodybuilding is regenerative. That's one thing that it has going for it. It's regenerative. But powerlifting is not regenerative. And this constant lifting that he does in his garage, it just accelerates aging, more aging. But anyway, yeah, I mean, just looking at his physique, it's just, he looks ordinary. He looks ordinary. You wouldn't even know he lifted weights. Trust me. You'd probably see him in Costco or somewhere walking in the street. He's not even athletic because bodybuilding is associated with athleticism. I'll explain this too. In the past, in bodybuilding, probably people have forgotten this. The contests in bodybuilding were based on intelligence. One of the criteria in bodybuilding was intelligence. A second one was athleticism. In order for you to win at a bodybuilding competition in the past, you had to have been good at athleticism and intelligence. So they marked you on those two, not just your body. See the difference? Yeah, dude. And then eventually it became fake. And then it just drugs. And then it's not based on athleticism anymore because it's based on drugs. And fake bodybuilding, I don't know. I guess because they take steroids, you could say athletic. But the bodybuilders today, do they look athletic to you? They're just like a bubble. They can't run properly. They can't move properly. It's ridiculous. At least in the past, they did take some drugs. There's some athleticism associated with it because they're not like a bubble like they are today, walking around.
Not using stuff. They have full lives, married dudes with kids and careers and hobbies, and we do that. And I tell people that works really well. They're like, but is it optimal? It's like, well, no, it's not necessarily optimal. We can squeeze more, but guys who are doing 6 to 10 sets once a week, that's a lot of my bread and butter for my older lifters, who are not chasing extreme goals. And it works really well for my dad bod transformations. And it's stuff that I can consistently put someone on for years. And, I can change up movements a little, change their loading as we go, and just keep them real consistent and make good progress. But then we get to the topic of what if we want to train stuff more? Because people are like, Jason, you've run the body part thing for quite a while now, but you also used to do the higher frequency. In fact, you used to train 5, 6, 7 days a week, sometimes with max effort. You did normal conjugate, then you did ultra high frequency max effort. How do you get away with doing that when you tell people we get beat up? Well, here's the thing that I notice. If we're going to train movements or muscles more than once a week, particularly with any respectable weight, those movements have to be rotated. So the only way I got away with, doing max effort like 6 times a week on conjugate type training, and I was hitting big numbers. When I did that, I was squatting well up into the 5s. With one of the bars, I ended up hitting 600. I was doing 600-pound plus deadlifts. One time I got 625 off of a deficit at the peak of some of that. I got a 365 close grip bench. I hit a 354 press, like a paused floor press. So on and so forth. I hit a 550 good morning. And the thing is to making stuff like that work. So what's the key? What's the key? Is the rotating the movements. I never repeated the same max very often, unless it was one I needed to really come up that I felt, wow, that was awkward, I can get it up fast. Then I'd cycle it in for a couple workouts. But generally speaking, a lot of times I wouldn't hit that same lift more than once a month. People say, what? Or once every 5 or 6 weeks. So I would rotate bands, I would rotate chains, I would rotate grips.
Yeah, Blah's adapted to all his exercises. That's why. Oh, Blah, you coming in working every day in the gym. Yeah, every day. You're adapted to your exercises. You are not getting any muscular growth there. There's no muscle growth there, man. You are definitely not growing with the weight, but you are growing. Your nervous system is definitely adapting, but you're not adapting to the weight by growing more muscle.
Chances. I was doing stuff like sumos off of low blocks, right? Then a deficit conventional the next week, then deficit with change or bands, and then
Yeah, it's a lot of this fake strength, the sumo and all that. People fake it. The butt squeezing when he goes down squatting. It's a good fake, man. Eccentric lifting, bro. That's like people. That's like what's it? Greg Doucette is like trying to tell Eddie Hall, hey Eddie Hall, try to beat my record of bouncing weight off the floor, deadlifting in a sumo 1 inch off the floor. They're ridiculous, man. Come on.
sumo against bands. We would rotate stances, rotate ranges of motion, rotate
Yeah.
accommodating resistance, squatting.
But whatever he's doing, there's no association with athleticism. Bodybuilding is associated with athleticism, bro. Get it? Look at the whole point in bodybuilding is to build more myofibulars. They enhance your performance. Just look it up in science. Science will corroborate everything I say. The more nuclei you get, the more of these myofibulars you build, the more you become naturally physically enhanced. So that is a carryover to every sport. You understand what I'm trying to explain to you? It's associated with athleticism. It makes you bigger, better, stronger, and faster. It's associated with strength, power, speed, and performance. It tells you that in NCBI, PubMed, everywhere. But powerlifting is not associated with athleticism. It's a sport, so it's confined to powerlifting. So it's not a carryover to other sports. You understand? There is something that builds your body that is carryover to other sports, and then there's a sport called powerlifting that is not a carryover to other sports. You understand? Like back in the day when you took martial arts, back in the 60s and 70s, when you took martial arts, they had a weight room downstairs in the basement. Remember? And these guys would lift, and you try to why are you doing that? Because it's associated with athleticism. It's to make you better and stronger at whatever they're doing there. You understand me? You build some muscle, that's all. You build some muscle. But a lot of people don't realize the adaptation process. It happens quickly in the beginning. See what I mean? So a lot of people, they abandon lifting because they got a lot of it in the beginning, and then they don't get any more because they don't know how to. They don't understand the process. But anyway, the point is, even in martial arts, when you do lots of these leg stretchings, where you're stretching your legs like crazy, they too are getting damaged. They're going to come back bigger and stronger. Strength, power, speed, performance. Get it? Yeah.
I had multiple bars. I had bands. I had chains. I could do back squats. I could do box squats.
Yeah, look.
I would sometimes do pin squats for the back.
He could do these squats, box squats, these squats, chains, bands, and all that. But that is not going to make you athletically better at your sports, that whatever sport that you're doing out there. That's why they had weightlifting rooms in these high schools in the past. They used them to make you better at athletics, like playing a high school football or whatever. That's why they had a weight room. Even the soccer team, ask Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was not able to use the weightlifting room unless he was a part of the soccer team. So he had to break in to this gym just to work out, the soccer team's gym. So why would a soccer team have a gym? Why would they have a gym and weights? Why would they lift weights? Because athleticism, bro. Get it? You understand me? Bodybuilding is about athleticism. Christ.
And the same thing with the pressing. We can run closer grip, wider grip, different bars, pin presses, bands, chains, board presses, right?
Yeah, board presses and this press and that press. Here's the thing. in real bodybuilding, which is based on the principles of eccentric exercise, that's where all the magic happens. You don't need these bands, chains, this, that. You don't need these boards and all that. You don't need any of that. You can do one exercise, and I guarantee you that is gonna make you better. You don't have to do a million exercises. You could stick to the one that you find that does the most damage to that muscle to get it to repair and remodel a lot bigger and stronger. Okay, dude, that's all. See what I mean? And so it's not, I have to do this and I have to do that. You know what I mean? He's doing that because Blaha wants to keep you entertained. Look, I'm better at doing box squats. Look, I'm better doing these elastic bands. But they're not transferable to other fucking sports, bro. Athletics.
You got a lot of options. A lot of options with those things. So there's different stuff that we can do and that we can work with.
Look at this guy. He has this garage with all these machines. He's got whatever he has here, all these things. Look at all those bars. Does he use those bars? Do you see him using those bars? He's got 1 million bars. You don't need 1 million bars in bodybuilding. You don't need a lot of stuff in bodybuilding. You just need certain things. But like I said, this is just to keep you entertained, I guess.
On that. And so what I would do all that stuff. And so I would rotate through even a lot of the rep work afterwards. I didn't always know, was I going to be doing, for my main lift or the max lift, was I going to just take that same bar? Was I going to do bands?
I mean, think about it. Look at these guys. They've stolen these things from bodybuilding. The powerlifters have stolen the big four from bodybuilding. And then you have these aesthetic guys. They stole the dips and the pull-ups from bodybuilding. And what do they do with the dips and pull-ups? They got weighted belts. They put on these weighted belts. Bro, they fucking use weighted belts. I see guys coming into, it's so popular now. Here's the thing. Weighted dips and pull-ups are so popular now. I saw a guy as I was leaving the gym. I saw a guy passing by me and he was carrying a weighted belt with a chain on it. Going to the gym, bro. Because they're not interested on these other exercises because they're adapted to them and they don't know how to unadapt to them. So they choose what they believe will work for them, which is what? The dip and the pull-up. Why? Because it's constantly putting you in a stretch position. Constant. You're in a constant stretch position. You can't get out of it. It's impossible. Look, you're in a constant stretch position on the dip. You can't get out of it because you're there all the time. You're in that position. And the pull-ups. And so they have this weighted belt because they start adding weight to it. You know that? But eventually they too adapt to that too. They get good results, but they too will adapt to it eventually because they don't understand the concept of real bodybuilding, how to bring back this damage to repair and remodel and get bigger, stronger. They don't understand the concept of it. But like I said, you know what I mean? So after a while they do accessory work, they do this, they do some heavy lifts, and then they kind of abandon that. Then they start doing these dips and they start doing the pull-ups because, you know, they're looking for new adaptations. But you can get new adaptations in all the exercises. Your only problem is you just don't know how to. And so that's why they switch around. In the old days when I was going to the gym, people would be like, yeah, you should. If you haven't done dips, if you haven't done pull-ups, start doing pull-ups. If you haven't done dips, start doing dips, and you'll get a new adaptation. But they didn't understand why, because you're adapted to your exercises. How do you unadapt? You stay in the eccentric. That's how you get unadapted, by lifting heavier loads eccentrically, because a lot of people, they don't understand what bodybuilding is about. Bodybuilding is just about eccentric exercise. It's not about concentric. And so their problem is they don't know how to stay there in the eccentric. They're always doing concentric, and then they become adapted. They don't understand why they're adapted. Well, another reason is because they don't add more sets to their exercises. You can unadapt even if you are doing a full range of motion, but you're going to have to add astronomically high amounts of sets. That's another thing. But in eccentric exercise, we usually can keep bringing back this damage, even using the same weight and the same exercise. It's specific. But sometimes we go heavier, sometimes we add more sets. It's dependent, man. You understand me? It's dependent.
Was I going to do a floor press for the main list or maybe some dips? So again, we would rotate all that stuff all the time because I was training muscle groups 3 times a week. Okay, and if we're going to hit stuff like,
see, he's training his muscle groups 3 times a week to do what? To be good at doing what? To be good at lifting these weights. Not to be good at a carryover to other sports. You understand me? Not to be athletic, just to be good at doing this. See what I mean?
that, you can't be repeating the same movement patterns. You will get beat up. I mean, it's the same even if we want to do like doubles. So I think the week I'm making this video, I just started rotating in. I may not be there by the time the video comes out, you know, where I'm doing 2 max effort bench days and then 2 max effort squat and deadlift days. And then I have a 5th day in between that week where it's just like back and biceps, a straight bodybuilder day for my lats and my biceps. And, you know, we come in and hit that stuff, right? And we treat that like a bodybuilder.
Right.
So with this stuff, what I found, it's the same with my lifters. If we're going to lift, start hitting muscles 2 or 3 times a week, we've got to rotate movements. If we start going heavy, those heavy movements have to be rotated all the time. Louis Simmons figured this out, okay? And the reason it's yes, there's a lot to be said for strength on it. There's a lot of reasons we could benefit from a strength position and from an awkward loading position, but a lot of it is the overuse. And because sometimes these movements are harder, we can't handle as much weight because we get thrown into a deficit or a pin or whatever, it puts less stress on those tendons and joints and things in those positions. Okay, so therefore we're lowering the load on those areas. Overuse goes down while still training the nervous system for a max lift. Or then we have training where it's overloaded, where we're running bands or chains that are heavier at the lockout, and then we're getting used to a heavier weight on our back or locking a heavier weight, but then it's easier at the bottom. Okay, why? Well, that stuff's easier, it's less likely to tear tendons and things actually, right? Plus a lot of that builds tendon resilience. People don't always think of that.
Tear tendons, build resilience. I don't really. That's why they get injured.
I find training against bands and chains really.
His training is all powerlifting training. It's not bodybuilding.
Helps with tendon strength. Okay.
But I love how he tries to pretend he looks like a bodybuilder because he thinks it's based on some kind of look. The way he walks around, tries to show you his body. Oh, I'm bodybuilding now. That's not bodybuilding.
A lot of it doing with the accommodating resistance, particularly if it's a lift where you can lock a lot more weight, but you're still getting the full range of motion for hypertrophy. With that contrast weight, that stuff really helps. So this is the stuff that really, really works if you're going to train in that manner, because now you're pushing that bleeding edge of stuff. You know, and you're hitting things too frequently. This is where we start breaking. But if we rotate stuff, the injuries go down, and then you can optimize these things and still not start tearing things, not get the same tendon inflammation. But it's a different beast, and it's a very, very, very different beast. So when we look at these are not contradictions. It's telling people, I can have you do 6 to 10 sets for a muscle group once a week, and most guys can get pretty big, pretty strong. We can get good results. If people want to go the other extreme, though, we can't run the same methods. The methodology has to change. It has to change.
Well, he really loves to show for the camera, man. This guy's funny. He's just puffy.
Or you break.
Yeah.
This is how we keep injuries low. You know, you've got to rotate these movements if we're going to do this.
Listen to what he's telling you. This is how we keep injuries low. We have to rotate these movements. If you're getting injured, that means you're weak, and your sport that you're in is weak. So this powerlifting is a sport. It's a weak sport. You understand me? Because it injures you. You never bodybuild to get strong. You understand me? So you can prevent from getting injured because you're a weak motherfucker.
Right, and we can't be repeating the same movements all the time, and we have to still limit.
You understand now? You didn't build your body big and strong, so you're a weak motherfucker. What you did was you got better at lifting heavy weights. You understand me? You got stronger at lifting a weight, but you didn't get physically stronger. That's why you're a weak mother. And that's why you're complaining that you have all these fucking injuries.
Intra-session volume. Once we start going to those higher frequencies, we can't be coming in hitting a muscle group for 12 sets in one workout. You just can't do that anymore. It's a problem, right? Unless you want to break. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope.
Thank God that's all he had to say. That was going to go on forever. This guy's just rambling on about ridiculous shit. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, friends.